Finally, we've gotten down to the last term in that long list that makes up our selection criterion. The expected real net average annual rate of return on investment. Let's deal now with the term expected. Investment, as we saw from the very beginning of the first video, is a current sacrifice for the purpose of obtaining future benefits. Now that term future gives us problems. And the reason is we never know for sure what is going to happen in the future. Particularly when it comes to investing, the future is not certain. The future is fraught with risk. And in this context, the term risk refers to the likelihood of losing money. When we invest in U.S. government securities, the likelihood of losing money is very low. And that is because the federal government, when it owes you money, can print it up. Now, I realize that it is the Fed that prints the money, and it's the Congress that incurs the debt, and the Fed is under no legal obligation to bail out the Congress. History shows us, however, that the Fed is an enabler and enables Congress to run up all kinds of debt and continually bails them out. So I have no doubt that at least in my lifetime, the federal government will not go bankrupt and default on its debts. Now, a couple of years ago, there was this threat, this brinksmanship, this gamesmanship among the Democrats and Republicans. You don't do what we say, what we want, we're going to let the country go, default on its debts. That'll show you. That was a very weak game of chicken. Nobody really thought that they were going to do that, except, of course, for Standard & Poor's, who lowered the federal government's credit rating. But I digress. The idea is that the future is not certain, and therefore there is some likelihood in losing money, and what we have to do is to factor in that likelihood in considering investment opportunities. For example, I know where you can earn a potential rate of return of 100%. Now, I tell my students this in class, and this wakes them up, particularly when I tell them that this is not an annual rate of return, this is an instantaneous potential rate of return. So they're all ears. They're wondering what it is that will return them, or at least has the potential to return them 100% instantaneously. You know, in 50 iterations, they're going to have a stack of money so high it'll reach the sun. I'll tell you what it is. This is what I tell them. You meet me after class, and we will flip a coin. If it comes up heads, I pay you $1. If it comes up tails, you pay me $1. You're risking $1, but you have the potential to get a 100% rate of return. And they all grunt and groan like, you know, what kind of a deal is that? Although the potential is a 100% of return, the risk significantly reduces its expected return. How do we compute the expected return? How do we factor in risk? It's quite simple, actually. We use the formula that was used in your 8th grade algebra class in computing expected value. In computing expected returns, we simply use the formula we use for computing expected value. And here is the formula for computing expected value right here. The formula says that the expected value of something is the sum of the value of each particular possible outcome weighted by the probability of that outcome. The V sub I in this case refers to the value of outcome 1 or the value of outcome 2 or the value of outcome 3, 4, 5, whatever possible outcomes there may be. PR sub I is the probability of outcome I actually occurring. Here it is in a simpler expression where there are 3 possible outcomes. You can see the expected value of an event is the sum of the potential value of outcome 1 were it to occur multiplied by the probability of outcome 1 actually occurring. To that we add the potential value of outcome 2 were it to occur multiplied by the probability of outcome 2 occurring plus the value of outcome 3 were it to occur multiplied by the probability of outcome 3. Now, you will also notice that in this example here that the sum of the probabilities add up to 1 or 100%. Once you get to 100%, there are no other possible outcomes. The 100% says that it is certain to be either outcome 1, outcome 2, or outcome 3. Let's consider the expected value of a coin flip, where if it lands on heads, I will give you $1. If it lands on tails, you will give me $1. So that's the deal. What is the expected value of a particular flip to you? Here's the formula right here in this dialog bubble. You can see that there are 2 outcomes, heads and tails. And the probability of a head is 50%, 0.5. The probability of a tail is 50%, 0.5. The value of a head is 1. The value of a tail is -1. So we add these two up, these two expressions up, and the expected value of a particular coin flip turns out to be 0. Now, this may sound odd because it is impossible for any particular coin flip to produce a 0 result. What then is meant by the expected value of the coin flip equal to 0? As you can see, that the expected value of some event is actually the long-run average. What would be the average outcome were you to flip a coin 100 or 1,000 or 1,000,000 times? The outcome, the average outcome, as it turns out, would be 0 or something extremely close to 0, so close that the difference would be insignificant. Now, the more times we flipped the coin, the closer to 0 the actual outcome will be. If we flipped a coin, say 3 times, it is not impossible for it to land on 3 heads, and so the average outcome would be $1 per flip to you. However, If we did it 10 times, it is extremely unlikely that we would get 10 heads. If we did it 100 times, it is so unlikely to get 100 heads that it's ridiculous. As a matter of fact, it's very likely to be something very close to 50 heads and 50 tails. If we did it 1,000 times, 10,000, 100 times, 1,000,000 times, the average outcome is going to get closer and closer and closer to that expected value. Now, this concept is known as the law of large numbers. And the law of large numbers plays a very important factor in investing. The law of large numbers, to put succinctly, says that with the increased frequency of an event, the average outcome will tend to approach the expected value. How does this expected value apply in a finance context? Consider two investment opportunities, opportunity A and opportunity B. Opportunity A will pay, let us say, a potential return of 10%, but there is a 5% chance that you will lose all of your money. Opportunity B, however, will pay 8% potential rate of return, but there is a 1% chance that you will lose all of your money. Now let's compute the expected value of investment A. Let us also, for simplicity's sake, assume that there are only two outcomes, success and failure. Success is the outcome where you receive the potential return. Failure is the outcome where you lose all of your money. Now, in the case of investment A, the potential outcome, that is the best outcome you can get, the one that's pretty much promised you, or that you anticipate, is 10%. The rate of return on failure, though, that's when you lose all of your money, failure is 100%. That is the rate of return when you lose all of your money. It's not zero. A 0% rate of return means that you're getting no winnings, but you are getting your principal back. When you lose all of your money, that is a negative 100% rate of return. So, let's compute the expected rate of return. And here it is right here. Now, notice that I am using the term expected rate of return differently from the authors of the textbook. The authors are using the term expected rate of return as the rate of return you would likely anticipate, which in the case of investment opportunity A is 10%. I am using the expected rate of return in terms of the sum of the potential outcomes weighted by the probability of their actual occurrence. And so the way I am using the term expected rate of return, and the way you should be using it too, is in the same way, the expected value of the outcomes. The outcome that you would most likely anticipate, in the case of investment A, that's 10%, we will call that the potential outcome. Check out the expected value of investment A and see if you can compute the expected value of investment B.